Here's our news. The Australian share market has suffered a biggest one-day plunge since the COVID-19 pandemic, with the ASX 200 dropping 4.2%, wiping nearly 110 billion from the value of Australian shares. Asian markets were hit even harder, with Hong Kong Hang Seng index plummeting nearly 13%. US President Donald Trump addressed reporters about the market turmoil and stating,
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen.
The Australian dollars briefly fell below 60 US cents for the first time since the pandemic as investors flee to safer assets. Energy and mining stocks were particularly hard hit as the commodity prices declined. Treasurer Jim Chalmers addressed the volatility, saying he has spoken with the Reserve Bank governor before markets open.
We are seeing very substantial volatility now in global stock markets and in our own markets as well. Today in Australia, the market lost about 4% of value on Friday, the US about 6%. Asian markets have fallen quite dramatically today because they were closed for longer. I think Hong Kong was down about 9% when I last looked. We're also seeing this volatility in markets for gold as people look for safe assets. We're seeing it in the tumbling oil price as well. And we're seeing it in our own economy too when it comes to the Australian dollar.
Market expectation now points to 4 interest rate cut this year, with a significant possibility of a 50 basis points cut when RBA meets in May. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and opposition leader Peter Dutton have trade bars over infrastructure spending and public service policy. Speaking at the Sunshine Station alongside Victoria Premier Jacinta Allen, the Prime Minister announced a $7 billion infrastructure commitment and criticized the opposition approach.
Peter Dutton is a Queenslander who wants to live in Sydney and wants to dud Victorians. Victorians had to put up with 3 Prime Ministers in a row who dudded Victoria when it came to infrastructure.
On the other hand, opposition leader Peter Dutton has walked back his controversial work-from-home policy that will have required public servants to return to the office 5 days a week.
I've apologised for the decision that we took in relation to work from home. It only applied to Canberra. Labor's run this scare campaign, and I think we bring an end to that today. And we strongly support flexible workplace arrangements, and it never had any application to any part of the economy except for the public service.
Dutton also amended his public service policy, now promising to achieve workforce reduction through natural attrition rather than forced redundancy. Treasury modeling released today showed that Trump tariff will likely have a manageable impact on Australian economy. Thought American and China are expected to face significant economic headwind. Treasurer Jim Chalmers warned that this escalation trade tension are casting a dark shadow over the global economy.
What we're seeing here is the impact of a series of bad decisions taken about tariffs, and the whole world is trying to get their head around the impacts on their own economies and the global economy as well. For Australia, there's really 3 channels that we are monitoring very closely. The overall impact on the global economy and global demand is obviously troubling. The direct impact of these tariffs we believe to be manageable on in the Australian economy.
The Treasury expects substantial hits to American and Chinese growth, with a smaller but notable impact on Australian GDP and inflation. Meanwhile, Australian superannuation funds are facing pressure from regulatory following a major cyber breach that has compromised members' data. The Australian Prudential Regulation and Authority, or APRA, has written to affected funds requesting rectification plans. When asked about potential compensation for affected members, Treasurer Chalmers stated the government is coordinating a response.
Yeah, First of all, we've done a lot of work as a government and the relevant agencies, including the National Office of Cybersecurity, is coordinating engagement across the government, including the regulators and with industry and stakeholders to provide advice on this significant cyber event. Once again, we encourage super fund members to check their accounts and to be vigilant around potential fraud, and obviously contact their funds if they have concerns. APRA and ASIC are engaging with all of the potentially impacted super funds to support safe outcomes for members. On Friday, we convened the Council of Financial Regulator Agencies to get an update on their ongoing response to this incident as well. So that Council of Financial Regulators is working around the clock with the impacted funds and the relevant authorities in response to the incident, and that's all about protecting fund members and improving security measures. We encourage all impacted super funds to continue to work with government agencies to assist in responding to this incident.
That's our top story for tonight. These developments will continue to impact markets, politics, and your financial well-being in the days ahead. For more in-depth analysis and breaking updates, visit redmancarry.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. We're committed to bringing you factor reporting on the issue that matters most. You can also find us on all major podcasting platforms. If you value our independent journalism, please consider supporting our work with a subscription or a donation. I'm Miko Santos. Thank you for joining us. Stay informed and stay ahead.